Hello again, it's Steve Sharpley, and we're having a conversation about ManKindNess in the workplace again today. And today I'm with Ian Horler of Excel Office Supplies. I want to hear a little bit more about Ian's story, but Ian, welcome first of all today.
Thanks, Steve.
And I appreciate you being willing to share some of your background and your lessons for the people that might be watching this, whenever that may be, and whatever place in the world. But tell us a little bit about your company first of all, and I might add that this is an award-winning office supply equipment as well, so you might tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, Excel Office Supplies was formed in 2000, and steady growth, organic growth, like you said, leading up to winning a national award in 2009. Yeah, very exciting, very dynamic, and yeah, good to be involved.
So how would you say you put yourself apart from the competition that's undoubtedly out there at the moment?
I think we care. I think we have a real passion about service, and we back that up, literally on a daily basis. So, and everybody shares that same philosophy. So even though we're a small team, we achieve an awful lot, and all of us feel the same way, that we're passionate about doing the right thing with, making sure that the customers get what they want.
Okay, and so how would that caring be evident to your clients and the people around you? How does that show up in the business?
I think we're very creative. Our customers realise that we're not just about toner cartridges and copier paper. Whatever solution they need, if it needs, if it's a requirement for their office, then they'll come to us. And just in the last couple of weeks, we've had customer phoned us up, been let down by another supplier. They needed some boxes to send something out to China. They needed 15 boxes, and we came off the phone and we put our heads together and we came up with the idea of wine boxes. So we went off to an off license. We bought some wine boxes. The next day they were there, sign writing them in Chinese, and they were delivered. So another one in the same week needed a certain length of rubber band, and it had to be a certain width, etc. We supplied them with hairbands.
Right.
So we find a solution to literally anything.
In creative ways, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you look back to when you were kind of maybe growing up, or before you got into the business, what have been your influences to have this caring approach and willingness to do whatever you can to help your customers? Where does all that come from? What has been your influence to develop that?
I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, caring family, I guess, when I was growing up. I don't think there's anything that I can think of that meant that I was going to end up being so conscientious, say, running a business. I just think that we work at 100%. So every I is dotted, every T is crossed. We try and look after the detail. Mm-hmm. If we look after the detail, then we can build a successful business. Mm-hmm. So I think it's more something I've probably learned over the years with regards to the importance of doing that in business.
Okay. So has that been just through any particular events have happened, or is it just kind of, how do you think you've learned that?
I think what it is, I started my first business when I was sort of 18, 19. I came out of college and started a dairy.
Okay.
Took on Express Dairy, took on the co-op, took on everybody, and built that up. And we built that up to sort of 2,500 customers. We're doing about 5,000 pints a day. And Mrs. Smith would phone up from 10 miles away saying she'd got the wrong colour milk. We would go out there and swap it over. Mm-hmm. So we always ran it, in that same customer focused way.
Right.
But I think that starting a business and failing at businesses over the years, and fighting to hold on to businesses, and going through quite an emotional roller coaster to get me to where I am now, I really, really value it. And I once heard years and years ago, feed your business for 2 to 5 years, and your business will feed you for the rest of your life.
Right. Okay.
And I really, really look after it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's the most valuable thing, apart from family and friends, it's the most valuable thing that I've got.
Right. When you say you really look after it, what does that mean? How do you do that?
Little things like preserving cash in the business. I always think that too many people that run businesses, they get carried away with the turnover. They start to lever, the cash, and all of a sudden there's an increase in lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important to make sure that you're looking after the cash, that all your suppliers get paid in time.
Mm-hmm.
For me, our credit rating as a company is very important, because it's an indication of our values within the business.
Mm-hmm.
Far more important than what car I'm driving, or what house I'm living in, or how many holidays I'm having.
Right.
So to me, looking after the business, that's looking after the business, making sure that the business is strong.
Right.
And as a result of making sure the business is strong, with that,
Mm-hmm.
with that attitude, we've been able to cope through the recession.
Right. Okay.
And I monitor some of our competitors, and they're 200 grand in debt, some of them,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's the way they run the business.
Right. Okay. So have you had any kind of major lessons that might even be painful at the time that have kind of influenced who you are and the way you do business now?
Yeah, there's too many to mention on this video.
But in the context of how to do business in a decent way, and maybe there were examples of ways it wasn't done that way.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure now on businesses to make sure that you've got health and safety covered, that you've got the human resources side covered, that you're doing the right things for your staff, the staff are having the right number of holidays, etc., etc. There's a lot of pressure on business. That hits the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that just means roll up my sleeves and work a bit harder. Well, that's it's just part of it. But I've come across come across many examples personally where that's not been the case. In 2010, so this is a recent one, I was looking to diversify, and invested some money into a completely unrelated company that was actually a customer of Excel Office Supplies.
Mm-hmm.
And got involved, and it was a risk. And after a period of time, realised that everyone was just out for themselves. And,
Right.
and the board, over an 18-month period, I watched the board take a company that went from 300,000 turnover to 5 million, and then just disappeared.
Really?
Because everybody at the top was just trying to take as much as they could.
Right. And then the company disappeared.
And it just folded.
Right. Okay.
2005, I merged Excel, and that merger should have been a healthy situation, but that merger didn't work out, and instead of amicably going back to our original companies, the other guy decided he wanted to hold on to a bigger slice.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled up my sleeves, did the right thing. He lasted about 2 months in business after that.
Right.
Okay, so there's been quite a few examples, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay. And those and some of those painful lessons are the one that really stay with us, almost indelibly etched into our psyche, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look back, you say you started your own first business when you were about 18. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you'd known at the start, back in those early days, that would have helped you even more?
Yeah, I mean that's a long time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, in business terms,
Yeah.
but not in personal development terms, because there's been a lot of challenges over that period of time, and I've actually got a story I take out to the classroom, out to schools, and it's called the 8,000-day journey.
Okay.
To buy a beer, and again, that's a story that's maybe for another day. But
yeah.
it's a story about overcoming obstacles and you know, sort of picking yourself up from what seems like a heavy knock and carrying on.
Right.
And 8,000 days of learning. That's a long, long time. That's 25 years. Yeah. And without that, you know, I wouldn't have the resilience that I have now.
What does success mean to you? So, you know, what we're trying to help people explore and get different takes on is, you know, despite people are good at what they do and they're generally seen as successful in what they do as well, and in the way they do it. So, what does success mean to you, and has that changed over the years?
The fundamental answer to that question, as far as I'm concerned, is freedom of choice. Okay. That for me is what success is about. Is freedom of choice. It's not the house. It's not the car. It's not the materialistic things. It's the freedom. Now, sometimes that freedom of choice doesn't mean that you've got the choice of whether to go to work or not, or whether to go and play golf or not. But it's the freedom of choice to go and do something that you're passionate about. Okay. And I'm very, very passionate about what I do. So in that regards, you know, I guess in a sort of sadistic way, you know, I sort of live the dream.
Yeah.
Materialistically, I guess it's just making sure that the bases are covered. You know, and yeah, I'm very, very ambitious, but that's really where it is with me. It's more to do with freedom of choice.
Right. And you say you're very ambitious, and you've talked about the 8,000-day journey as you've gone along. Would you say part of that ambition is it's almost like a journey in and of itself, a continual development and growth, rather than just getting to a place? Is there something about that in that ambition?
Yeah, the 8,000-day journey's now turned into the 9,000-day journey, although it's still called the 8,000-day journey. I think part of the message I take out to schools is that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Right.
And when I was in my mid-20s, I struggled a lot in my mid-20s, and I hit, you know, many of the brick walls that I've hit. But this particular brick wall seemed to be insurmountable, and I was suffering from depression, and my life and everything, I was just imploding, and I didn't know who to talk to and anything. And I was very, very lonely at that time. And I think the main reason for that was because I'd lost my dream that I'd been trying to build up.
Right. But
my dream was about a destination.
Okay.
So my thought process changed. I read some books that had a big impact on me, and my thought process changed to all these things that could happen to me, that had happened to me, and all the challenges and everything that I'd overcome were part of the journey, and they were part of what was making me stronger. So in that respect, sometimes I think, well, you know, bring it on.
Right.
Let's have some more, because it makes life very exciting.
Ian, I really want to say thank you once again for taking the time to sharing some of your story, and I'm sure there's lots more to that as well. Where do people find out about you and Excel Office Supplies? How do they do that?
Maybe through the website, www.excelofficesupplies.co.uk.
Okay.
Yeah, we're there.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you got some great insight and some lessons from Ian in sharing his story today. Remember, let people know what you're finding out about today, and have them come and look at the website. So it's all about ManKindNess, being in business, being successful, but doing it in a way that is decent, and dealing with people decently along the way as well. So ManKindNess, the kind of success worth getting. Thanks very much. See you next time.